Everyone, how you going? It's Joe from Weedon Melbourne. Friday night, and it's my live time, and I'm actually on time, and I am presenting, as in I missed last week's because I completely forgot about it, so I apologise about that. I was at my sister's birthday and we were having a wonderful time, so that just kind of happened. So let me just make sure that I've got the computer set up so that I can see some comments should they come through, and then I'll be ready to start. I won't drag it on too long, waiting for people. I had everything organised up until half an hour ago, and then hubby's not home and fish and chips took a bit longer and la la la. Anyway, I'm here. So that's all that matters. So I've almost got the monitor up. Let's just see if there's a bit of action happening. And I am sitting in, hey Rails, g'day. Haven't spoken to you for a little while. I miss you. In Melbourne, we're currently dealing with, I think it's 33-degree heat still at 8 o'clock at night. So it hasn't been a great day for stamping, but that's okay. We'll get there, and it might get down. Apparently a big storm's coming through, so it's going to drop down to 16 or 17 or something tomorrow. So that's a bit crazy, but anyway, okay. Let's get going. So I thought today I would show you something off the page, something off a card, and something a little bit different, because that's how I like to roll. I've got stargazing here, which is great, and that's my son in the background playing his game, so you can hear him screaming. And don't ask me why, but I'm not going to ask the Facebook gods, but the words are all the right way as well, so let's just celebrate all together. I'm so glad. Hey Trish, g'day, and Michelle and Rochelle, fantastic. I'm a bit excited. Thanks heaps. So here I've got a Maccona jar that I've washed up, obviously, and I've decorated using one of our new designer papers, and I decided I would show you this using papers that don't have to be used as Christmas papers. We can use it for some alternative projects. So I'll get going. The project I'm going to make, though, will be a Christmas jar, but I wanted to showcase this as well. So at the end I'll put them together and you'll be able to see the differences for them. So, hi Michelle and Wendy, g'day. Fantastic. Thanks Rochelle. Yay! Is it warm over there with you too? Alright, so I'll show you this designer paper, and I've lost my little note that tells me the colours and the products that I'm using, so I'm a bit frustrated about that because I've been working on another project and then suddenly put all that aside. So let me bring this in, get the cable out of the way. This designer paper is in our holiday catalogue, which is just stunning, and it has, as you can see, some copper features. I'm just going to tie this cable up so that it stops dropping into the view. Thanks for sharing, Wendy. I appreciate that. Your support means a lot. Thank you. So this designer paper has lots of shininess, as you can see. Let me see if I can move that a little bit out of the way so that it doesn't irritate your eyes. Maybe I can do it. Oh, that might be better. So as you can see, there's designer paper's always got double sides to it. So I think the reasons behind this is really great. It means that you can step up your cards or you can tone them down depending on what you'd like to use. And the great features at the moment are papers like this that have a little bit of coloured embossing on it. It means that you can also use our blends in order to colour various other areas on our designer paper, and because it's got the embossing on one side and the I guess, the matte marking on the other side. It means that you can use them for a whole range of projects. Hi Michelle, did I say hello to you all earlier? I think I did, but anyway, hello. So as you can see, I've already cut into this paper, and if I get the project back, you'll see I've decided to use I just turned my light off. I've decided to use this paper running this way though, which meant I had to cut into it rather than just snipping the end sheet. I had to cut into it so that I could get those details that way. But it just opened up another experience of ways that I can use the papers. And of course now I've got a couple of triangles that I need to utilise as well, which is okay. It's all experience, as they say. So this particular paper, let me find, is over here. So it's on the back of this one. And what I've decided to use for the next project that I'm going to show you is this one here. There you go. It's only a little piece left, or cut away from it, I beg your pardon. So I really love this one. The shimmer is just stunning. I think it'd be really cute as a bold baby card. With the stars, you know, Starry, Starry Night, that kind of thing. And certainly the masculine type themes can run through as well. Rochelle says it's been wet and rainy for the last few days. She's hanging out for some Perth heat. Well, as I said, we're 35 today and we're back to 16 tomorrow. So, bleh. I love the heat, but today's been a bit stifling with a really hot wind as well, so that hasn't been too pleasant. I didn't even put my washing out simply because it was going to be dusty by the time it was dry. So here I've got the Night of Navy cardstock. Oh, that's what I didn't tell you. I didn't tell you the colours. We have Mossy Meadow, which is the green, Night of Navy, Pretty Peacock, which is the colour that I've shown off here on the jar, and Very Vanilla. I'm going to just change to my overhead light to see if that gives me a bit more of a spread of light, because I'm not liking what this is. But certainly if it doesn't work for you, let me know and I'll change it back. Okay, turn that one off. We'll see if this one works a little bit better. Move all these things out of the way. So I'm not sure if you know, but I've been collecting Maccona jars for a very long time. So I have probably 200 at the moment, and I actually recently got another delivery from a fellow Stampin' Up demo who I've known for a long time before she signed up. But Leanne dropped off a big box of goodies to me the other day, and that's what inspired tonight's live. So I've decided to go for this size, which probably doesn't mean a lot necessarily to people if you don't know the particular sizes. And I can't find the others. It doesn't matter, it's not worth getting out. But there's a whole range. There's smaller jars, there's even larger, bigger ones, wider ones, etc., that sort of thing. But I've gone for this because I just think it's probably enough. I'm thinking of giving this particular one to my daughter who finishes Year 12 exams next week. She sat her second and third exam today, maths and biology. So she's got 2 more next week and then she's done. So I thought I'll fill it up with something yummy for her as a way of congratulations, well done. So the one thing I haven't done tonight that I usually do is get ready with my tape. So I'll just chit chat while I'm doing this on the back of the designer paper and the cardstock. And most of you will know, either through my posts or through others as well, that the new trimmer is now available. So you can order that through my online store at joweedon.stampinup.net, or with your own demonstrator that you've got. You can go direct there and have it sent to you. So that's easy for you. It's fantastic. And obviously it saves on trying to get it to me and then to you. So this measures, and I've got to remember, because as I said, I've lost my little cheat sheet. I believe it's 5.1. You know what? Let me measure it so I don't give you the wrong information. With the new trimmer. So the cardstock is 5.6. Let me write it down again so that I can put it into my recipes. 5.6 by 28 centimetres, which means the designer paper will always be 0.5 centimetres less than that. So 5.1 by 28. And the jar is not actually 28 centimetres in circumference, but I like to have quite a little bit of overlap, probably 1.5 to 2 centimetres, because then that means that it's going to hold clothes. If you only slightly have it touching, then it doesn't adhere properly, and there's nothing worse than your projects falling apart when you give it to somebody. So before I stick this down, I need my scalpel in order to pull off the tape. But before I do this, I need to burnish it, or curl the cardstock. Whenever you're working with things like jars, you really need to burnish one side of your cardstock, because that actually helps it. Oh, and that's what I should have done before I laid the tape down. That's what I was just about to say. Yes, so burnish first and then remove this for obvious reasons. So those of you in Victoria, have you got any plans this weekend? Being a kind of sort of long weekend for Melbourne Cup. Some of us have Monday off. I'm off to a wedding, so that's why I've got these nails done, because I'll match my dress. There we go. So burnish that on the underside, obviously, and do the same to your designer paper as well. It just makes it adhere better. And the other thing is, don't stick your designer paper down onto your cardstock before you put it on your jar, because for that reason, that it actually needs to kind of curl on itself before you stick it on there. Otherwise you'll get like a bubbling effect, and it just ruins the whole look. Okay, are we all happy with the light of the room now? Because I think it looks okay from what I can see on the phone. So when Maccona make their jars, or probably when any jars are being made, there's a seam. Probably can't see it because of the reflection, but there's a seam running along here, and I use that as a guide to line up my cardstock. I generally do it by sight. It almost always works. Famous last words. So while I stick down this first bit, oh gee, the heat might be playing up a little bit on me. I don't stick down the rest of it very hard until, or very, oh, look at that. How lucky am I? That's actually lined up really well. I'll take that. So there you go. Then you give it some really good pressure to help it adhere to the jar. And this is just using the tear and tape. Some people might like to use the red, which I think is a really good adhesive, the red tape, but if you make a mistake, then that's when it's really difficult to take off. Let me just put that like that, and I'll take off. Yeah, the heat's really playing up. This isn't normally this difficult to lift everything up. It won't be me at all, I'm sure. It's the product, right? Okay. There we go, nearly got it. Let me just scroll down to see if anyone else is making comments while I'm looking around. Oh, I can see the video now. Fantastic. Okay. Wendy, you made it. Fantastic. Oh, thanks, Rochelle. I just saw you're saying much better, so the light is good. I'm so glad. I'm glad you're here, Wendy. How many sleeps now until we finally get to squeeze each other? It's been a long, long time, so I'm looking forward to that. So again, I'm using the seam, the join of the glass. I say seam, I guess that's kind of what the word is. Now this is the bit where you've got to be really careful, because if you pull this down too tight, it may be difficult to lift back up. And because you're trying to lay it down, oh, I'm a happy girl. I got it. There we go. That worked well. And you know what I did love? I was doing this earlier, as I said, with the other one. And I end up with bronze, or copper, I should say, on my fingers. I'm all sparkly. That's a bit nice. All right. So when you look inside the jar, you can actually see where the tape has adhered to inside on the inner cardstock. So you can always give it an extra rub according to where it needs to go, just to ensure that it sticks there properly. Okay. Now, I'm in two frames of mind with this. This is where I've overlapped the cardstock. Sometimes that's where I put my sentiment to kind of put something over the top and take your focus away from the join. Other times I put the sentiment right on the opposite side of the jar, because it just works like that sometimes. So that's what I did with my first one. So that's there, but the joins are actually at the back here. I guess it kind of depends on how you think it'll work. And I'm guessing because this is quite busy, it would still be okay to be on the front. Oh, this is going to roll the other way now. How's that working for me? Let me find. And you know, I've got 3 bone folders, and do you think I can find any of the other 2? Oh well, that'll be fine like that. So the next thing I've done, I promise, is I've used the stitch nested labels to Big Shot, one of the smaller shapes. So these are the 2. This is the whole packet. So this is the one that I've used, the second from the inside, and I didn't end up using this. I had folded that, I had turned that over thinking I was using that, but I didn't. So that's it there, and I'm going to stamp on that. Move that out of the way. And I haven't even got my stamp ready, I just realised. So let's have a look. I'm using Merry Christmas to All, another new stamp set in the new catalogue, I should say, the annual catalogue. And I'm going to use, I wonder which one would work. I might do, I like the Merry and maybe the opposite, the Little Christmas. Okay, let me get the stamps for it. I've got another project happening behind me that I've been doing today, and I've got about 8 of the blocks all lined up with the stamps on it, and so I've dived into my other box of blocks, so that's why I'm a little bit all over the place. So what did I decide on? I decided on Merry. I like the large Merry. Although, do you think it'll be too large? Maybe. That's not going to work then. Let's find something else. Here I was saying I was ready. So as well as the new trimmer that's available, there's also a new suite that is available called Christmas Time. So that's on show on my web page as well, Stampin' Up, joeweedon.stampinup.net page. That's available there with some gorgeous products. And the trimmer, as I said. I keep repeating that, don't I? Let's find Christmas. I was hoping to fit 2 different fonts, but that's just not going to work for me, so that's all right. Okay. Now, embossing buddies are really important, especially with the weather like this. So, use your embossing buddy over there to remove any of the static, so that when you use the embossing powder, it only goes where it needs to go. I'm going to find my tray. And another trick is use the embossing buddy on your tray as well, because obviously it means that you save more of your embossing powder too, because that stuff is precious. Okay, I do believe we're ready to stamp. Merry. And Christmas. Are you all holding your breath like I am? There we go. And the powder was here a minute ago. Where's the powder, Rochelle? Ah, there it is. Under my stars. So, good amount of embossing powder. The paper is really popular, Rails. Is it on back order? Are you able to get it that way? Now see, I didn't cover that very well, did I? Let's do that again. And then I'm going to use, oops, shaking the camera, sorry. There we go. Okay. Let's turn this heat gun on. I'm so excited, I tell you. This is my life today, right? I've been able to vacuum my stamp room for a while because the vacuum cleaner has been broken. So I fixed it today. All it needed was to be cleaned out properly in order to suck properly. So now I have a clean floor. It makes such a big difference. I feel like life is good. Okay. Sorry about the noise. For 10 years as a demo, and I still love when the embossing powder changes. I just think it's so magical. Trying not to burn my fingers. There we go. Oi, oi, oi. Okay. Let me just clean this up before I do anything else, because Murphy's Law, I will end up knocking it. At the end of the video, I'll be so glad that it's, you know, that I've completed the video and I'm happy and I'm so glad you're all here. and I'll move something and we'll have copper embossing powder everywhere. Which is okay. If it was the old dazzling diamonds that we used to have, they used to be fantastic. You end up going... My children used to come in each night and they'd say, "Good night, Mum." And I'd just wave my hand across the table and then across their forehead. And I used to, you know, bless them essentially. And they would go to bed all sparkly and wake up the next morning and go to school all sparkly. It was great. Whereas copper embossing powder just looks potentially a bit dirty. Okay. Let's see. Oh, that's going to roll. Wonder why it's rolling. Just the weight of the paper. Okay, so the next thing that I did with this beautiful flourish, is it kind of essentially a flourish as such, was that I chose where to trim it so that I could divide it across the sentiment. And there's no right or wrong answer. I guess the biggest thing is just making sure that when you do cut it, it doesn't look like you've cut into the corner of a star. There you go. So that still sort of continues on. So for example, if you can see here, that corner there doesn't look quite right on the star. Let me turn this on. That would bother me if I saw that on my work. That would bother me that it's not quite right. So rather than, I don't know if I want to cut it really. I guess you could change it a little bit. But I'll make that work on the sentiment. And then of course, this one is not too bad because you've got that piece going around here. It kind of all works. And then you use one of the best glues ever, the fine tip glue pen. Gosh, I love this stuff. The literally the fineness of the tip just works so well. I'm going to just trim this corner because, as I said, or corner with this point of the star, just so that it works. So I'm going to stick that down like that with the tiniest bit of glue. And then just stick that down like that. My big finger's in the way. Hello, husband. Home from work finally. Was it 8:30? 8:30. It's a 13-hour day. Not bad, hey, for Friday. And then I think I'll use this little star here to help hold on. So again, a bit of glue. And the most important thing is to remember immediately to cap this so that that tube doesn't dry out. And then just hold that down for a second as well. And that will glue on as also. Okay. Thanks, Rails. We do need Stampin' Up! Tweezers, Wendy. You're right. Absolutely. I had a pair of tweezers years and years ago. I actually don't know where they end up going. But they wouldn't... I would squeeze here, but the other end would open up. It was the opposite, and I couldn't work them out. They drove me crazy, so maybe I just got rid of them. But they were the closest things. I guess unless you get something like medical tweezers or something. And then using our mini dimensionals, which are fantastic, I put 4 of them on. Now, I wouldn't normally do that on a card. I'd probably only put 2, but I put 4 on this because of the curve, just to assist in holding it in place. So remove the backing, pick those up later. I'll move this over. Try and get halfway again. And then place that down like that. So I was thinking if we could find, I'm sure there's some toffees or something that might have like a bronze type wrapping that would pick up the bronze of the jar really well. Or you can just put a whole mix of coloured lollies in there. But that's as easy as the jar is. It doesn't need to be difficult. The biggest thing is burnishing your cardstock and your designer paper first, because that makes it a lot easier to go down. And remember to do it separately. So there's that. And then I'll show you my trick with the lid, which I absolutely love. For those of you that do drink coffee or you've seen Maccona jars before, they actually have this plastic capping on the lid, and I love to use this to my advantage. Ooh, I don't want that to roll and damage. Oops, sorry. Let me just put a paintbrush there. No, it's not going to work. Okay. So I love to take this capping off. Let me move all this out of the way. That's all just too much going on. And it's another opportunity for embellishment. So I'm going to get out, or I've already got out, the 3 size stars in the Stitched Stars dies, but I haven't big shotted them. Big shotted? Big shot them yet. So I can do that with you. So get my trusty big shot in. And all my shapes. Oh, not that one. Let me get some scrap. Okay. So I'm going to do the gold, the copper, I beg your pardon, in the largest star and the smallest. And then the medium in the navy cardstock. And the additional plate goes on top. And I'll run that through. So these are great. I love the detail of these stars. Just fantastic. So you look how beautiful it is. There's that one. And don't lose that tiny little star. Not so much the cardstock, but the actual star. Because these little suckers are really difficult to find sometimes. So, let me take that out. Oh, my knife is undoing. Take that out. And put that there. Put those away so that I don't misplace them. Okay. So, using the navy blue, or putting a dimensional on the back of navy blue, and you can either choose to offset your stars so that it's the opposite to that one, or you can have it running the same way. I guess I might do that because I did it the opposite on this one. See there? That's using the Pretty Peacock and the copper, and I've had that running the opposite way. So I'll be a bit different and I'll run it the same way this time. Same but different. Hi Roseanne, how you going? Hey Andre, howdy. Oh my goodness, 10:30 at night. Why are you still up? Crazy. I'm glad you are. Hello. Okay, So this is where the fun's going to happen, because trying to get this tiny little piece onto the star without it being seen is always tricky. But challenge accepted. So here we go. And now I'll use that in order to place it in the right place. There we go. And again, another dimensional on the back of my copper. Okay, now what I've also done this time round is I painstakingly sat there and cut out 8 or 9 of each colour of the vanilla, the copper, and of the... Oh, I just realised it's not copper. Sorry, it's not the pretty peacock. I needed the navy, the night of navy, didn't I? So I'm going to have to take those out and I'll fix it up later, because you're not going to sit here and watch me big shot 8 of these tiny little stars, but you'll get an idea of what I'm trying to achieve. I kind of wanted a bit of a shaker effect in the lid, because it's all enclosed, because I've been going to make a shaker card for such a long time and just haven't. So I thought I'll do this instead. So without dropping all of my stars, I'm going to place this into the center, and it's just the perfect size for the middle of my cap. See, the points all meet the edge of the circle, so I love that. And then put this in to the cap without getting it on the edge, which is what I was trying not to achieve, and they'll be able to bounce around. But what I'll do after I finish filming is I'll cut up some more of the navy stars, and then I'll put those in and take a couple of photos. So you just push that down, and there you go. You've got a few shaker type. Oh, look at that, there's underneath as well, but that's okay. If you've got a few, then that means it moves around really well. And of course, that completes a little gift, something a little bit different. So the only thing we've got to be careful of, obviously, is this detail. And I don't really want to stick it down because I think it's really great. I actually really like how it's coming off the jar, but perhaps it does need to be stuck down just at one point or something, just to reduce the chance of it getting damaged. Because I know once you gift it to somebody, it just might get damaged. We'll have to be careful. See, look at that. That's just rolled over on itself and curved itself. So maybe sticking it down just at one point might be an idea. I'll decide in a moment. I'll see how it goes. Thanks, Wendy. I love shaker lids and things. I use the Maccona lids all the time. I've actually got, because I can't bear to throw them out, these are the lids. This is what I did for my daughter's 18th in April. So I had the large Maccona jars, and these were in the lids. And then in the jars we had battery operated fairy lights. And so it just sort of glowed throughout the hall for her birthday. And I can't throw these away. I just think it's such a novelty, you know. So there you go. That's what I wanted to share with you today. These 2 items, using the wonderful designer paper from our holiday catalogue. Brightly Gleaming should be such an obvious name for me to remember. And as I said, if you don't have a demonstrator, then feel free to contact me within Australia, and I can organise to have those, a paper pack sent out to you, or you can purchase it on my website. If you've got any questions about my products, if I've not explained anything properly, please let me know. I'm happy to go over things and to clarify. But apart from that, have a great weekend. Stay warm or cool wherever you might be. And I wish you all well. I'll see you next week. Thank you.